Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. I'm Tim Boehm. Tonight we're talking with some of North Carolina's members of Congress about the continuing government shutdown and the focus on public safety in our state. We just heard from Democratic Congresswoman Deborah Ross. Now we head over to the other side of the aisle and hear from Republican Congressman Brad Knott. Here's our conversation. Congressman, first of all, it's great to see you in the studio here in North Carolina.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm sure in some ways it's good to be home.
It's great to be home. It is, yeah.
How have you kind of been traversing this shutdown? I mean, we'll talk about the policy stuff, but I mean, this is your first term in office. It's got to be a little weird, right?
It is a little bit weird. I can tell you, I was getting ready to say off the record. That's not the right thing, but with two young kids, there are some benefits to me personally. I get to spend more time with them. But on a broader level, I'm very confused by it. It's a needless effort on behalf of the Democrats, in my opinion. We passed a clean CR, bipartisan out of the House and the Senate. It didn't quite get 60 votes, and so the government shut down. And here we are. There's a political game being played, and Americans are paying a pretty steep price for it. And I think that's to our detriment. So hopefully it'll be resolved soon. You mentioned the political game, and in most ways, like most political games, it's a blame game, right? It is.
Republicans are blaming Democrats, and as you mentioned, they have pushed for clean CRs in the past themselves.
Sure.
But do you fear that, I mean, Republicans that have the White House and control of Congress, do you fear that that's going to come back on Republicans?
I don't know what you mean by coming back, but in terms of the clean CR.
Politically,
the
blame.
I'm not too worried about it in this sense. They voted on exactly the same package we sent them almost 15 times when Joe Biden was president. And there is an extreme effort right now to appease the far left faction of the Democratic Party. I mean, both the House and the Senate are led by New York Democrats, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. And it's no secret, whether it's in Congress or in the streets of Manhattan, the far left of the Democratic Party is gaining a foothold in a big, big way. And this effort to shut down the government is doing nothing more than just showing that faction that the leaders in Washington are, quote, fighting with Donald Trump. Hopefully this game ends for them and they can check the box and move on soon.
The Affordable Care Act subsidies are really what's behind this for Democrats. I think they believe if they don't do this, that Republicans won't be willing to talk or deal with that. Are they right?
That's nonsense. I mean, just the exact same math is required for whatever issues they want legislatively. We've got to get 60 votes, right? They can filibuster. They drag us to the negotiating table. I mean, I personally would love to see the Department of Education out of classrooms even more. I'd love to see the EPA off of our farms and out of our factories. Those are legislative issues. Those are things that we need to debate in public through the committee process. Where we are now is we have a clean CR. I compromised. I wanted more cuts. It was a clean bill. The president, the speaker, the leader of the Senate, they said, send us a clean bill to keep the lights on. The Democrats want legislative priorities, massive legislative priorities, almost $1.5 trillion in new spending to keep the lights on. That's not how we're supposed to do business. And again, is to appease the far left. They've shut down the government. They've checked the box. Now let's move on.
What do you think happens with these Affordable Care Act subsidies? I mean, it's sort of a side subject, although it's intertwined with this, but it is coming up soon on that front too.
Right. Well, I think as a broader point, the Affordable Care Act was sold to us years ago. I remember it well. This was long before I was ever in Congress, as something that would basically cure the ills of the healthcare system. It has not cured those ills. There are high costs. There are inefficiencies. Bureaucracy has exploded. There are more steps in between patients and doctors. And all of those things need to be addressed in earnest. And again, this is not a shutdown bargaining chip. This is a legislative fix that's going to require the input of a lot of legislators and stakeholders. And keeping the government open is not the appropriate avenue in which to settle this score. We've got to debate it. We've got to work very feverishly to try to preempt this. And again, the sooner the government comes back, we can open up, we can start to address that issue.
Does it concern you, though, if these subsidies do go away? I mean, we've started to see some stories about what those numbers could look like and what that could mean for Americans.
Well, again, the subsidies is a short-term issue. And in regards to some of the subsidies, I don't think that anybody would argue that if you're making $1 million a year, you should have your health care subsidized. What I'm focused on is strengthening the market. There needs to be, besides just dollars from Washington, there needs to be some structural changes to drive costs down, whether that's more competition, whether that's easing regulations, whether that's incentivizing a broader marketplace. Whatever we can do, we've got to have those discussions. But a government shutdown is not the appropriate place to have that discussion.
All right, we got more to get with Congressman Knott, but we got to take a quick break. Our conversation continues right after this.